Hello and welcome to Ryno's Orioles Report. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel. Well, holy shit. Back-to-back sweeps. Wow. I never would have thought that a week ago. This team could be capable of such a thing. It's against the White Sox, okay, yeah, struggling team. Seattle Mariners, not exactly the same case. To a certain extent, maybe their offense is a little too focused on one guy, and that was Kyle Raleigh. Orioles did a fairly good job at containing him. So you can see him on MassivSports.com. Let's get to game one. Baltimore Orioles 5, Seattle Mariners 1. Yeah, Holiday still in the leadoff spot. All right. 1 hit and RBI. Rutschman, 3 hits. Maybe not necessarily getting rid of, toning down the toe tap. Kind of been a big story in Adley Rutschman's swing. Also him returning home for the most part. Very good series against the Mariners. They're in... Yeah, it's not necessarily where he's from. Oregon, more than, let's say, Washington. But it's the closest. 3 hits in this game. Did a lot better in some other games. Henderson, 2 hits. O'Hearn, 2 hits and an RBI. Also walked once. Arias with an RBI. Cowser, that's right. Colton Cowser. Welcome back, asshole. Never slide into first base again. Hit an RBI in his first game back. Yup. Kobe Mayo. Well, holy shit, getting a base hit here. Wow. Didn't think you could hit a baseball. Heston Kjerstad. 2 hits and an RBI and a walk. What the hell? Who the hell are you? And what have you done with Heston Kjerstad? Quite literally, something I said this entire series. Who the hell are you and what have you done with Heston Kjerstad? Because you're not Heston Kjerstad. You're not playing like Heston Kjerstad. The Heston Kjerstad we've all come to know is terrible. You've actually been playing pretty good. 2 hits, an RBI, and a walk. Wow. Sometimes you go a whole week with not even getting 2 hits, 1 RBI, 1 walk, striking out 10 times. Turning it around, hopefully. Jordan Adams come in for defensive... he came in to pinch run. That's why you see pinch running for Kjerstad. Obviously, Adams doesn't go into play right field. He goes into center, and then Cowser over to right. Did not receive an at-bat, but you know what? That Jordan Adams, he came around to score. How about that? Speed was useful there. Dylan Carlson relegated to 9-hole now. Because getting a few guys back, right? And he still gets a hit. How about that? Kjerstad with a double. Cowser with a home run. Tomoyuki Sagano pitches this game, or starts this game rather, goes 7 full innings, 90 pitches. Yeah. Well, I mean, he's a pitcher. He's not necessarily a strikeout artist, even though he can get some. He definitely is seeking contact kind of guy, but dancing all around the zone with all of his pitches. Goes 7 full innings, doesn't give up 5 hits, and the 1 run and the 1 walk, which is fantastic. Also strikes out 5, which is pretty good itself. Brian Baker in the 8th inning, pitching the full 8th inning. Primary setup role now. Little bit shaky early, giving up the 2 hits, but no runs, no walks, 2 strikeouts. Settling into that. Felix Bautista in for get some work. You can see here in the 9th, the Orioles actually got 2 runs. So going into their half of the 9th, or I guess the start of the 9th, it's 3-1. You got Bautista up, he's warming up, he's getting ready to come in, and then your offense gets 2 runs. Well, he kind of needs to work anyway, right? You might as well throw him out there. And did fairly well. A lot less shaky than some other times. Only 10 pitches. Surprising. Pitching the full ninth inning, not a save situation. No hits, no runs, no walks. Wow. And only one strikeout. Huh. How about that? Alright, game at 2. Oops. Wasn't scrolled all the way to the top. Baltimore Orioles 3, Seattle Mariners 2. Oh, it was a save situation. Hopefully you had Batista available. Oh no, we used him the day before. Oh no! What are we going to do? No! I'm Brandon Hyde. I'm not going to use him ever. Yep. It's a good problem to have, okay? You just find a way to get through it. Maybe you don't have just one fucking guy that can close out a game in the ninth inning. Idiots. Holiday, 0-for, though he did walk once. Rutschman hit an RBI. Henderson, 0-for, 3 strikeouts. Not happy that game. O'Hearn, 0-for, 2 strikeouts. Holy shit, they won this game. Ha! Ramon Arias, 0-for, what the fuck? 2 walks, though. Colt Kowser, 1 hit, also walked once. Colt Kowser walked? You mean he's not swinging through a changeup? Kobe Mayo, 0-for, though he did walk once. Wow. Patience at the plate. Holy shit. Manuel Rivera comes in late, hitting more defensive replacement for Mayo, who got to start at first here. Got some somewhat bad news for Ryan Mountcastle, but I'll get to that a bit later. The Manuel Rivera does come in more of a defensive replacement, then actually gets an at-bat. Kjerstad, a hit and 2 RBIs. Holy shit. Again, this series was a much better series for Heston Kjerstad. Got a few hits, got a few RBIs. Played a little bit better in the outfield. Not a whole lot. Still a little shaky. Especially once the ball hits the ground and then bangs up against the wall. He's really shaky going after it. And also when he bangs up against the wall. Because, yeah, fly ball to right field foul territory. And there's not a whole lot of foul room over there. There is some. And much like Trey Mancini and Harrison Bader in that St. Louis series, you're running over there to foul territory to try to get your pitcher another out, and you're running out of room. You go into a slide to try not to crash into a wall, and of course the padding doesn't go all the way to the ground. Hint, hint. Major League Baseball teams make the padding go all the way to the ground. Just from my eyes, this is the 3rd player that has ran into a foul wall and busted up their knee. Kjerstad was able to stay in the game. Bader was, able to stay in the game. How is it going to affect him long term? I don't know. What happened to Trey Mancini when he did it? Maybe you jackasses need to quit being cheap jackasses and put padding all on the wall, especially if it's going to be fucking brick. Are you stupid? Yes, apparently you're stupid. Yeah, not able to get the foul ball and not able to stop himself from slamming his knee into the wall. How did he get around the bases on this hit? Because, spoiler alert, it wasn't just a single. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it wasn't that bad. Maybe he knows people like me are yelling and telling him how terrible he is. It's possible. It's possible maybe he's just more excited. Colt Kowser's back. Yeah, Milkman is here and he's delivering and such. It's possible. You got Kobe. Ryan Mountcastle's gone. He's more of the, I guess, older generation. He's a Dan Duquette guy, not a Mike Elias guy. It's Kobe Mayo, a little more in the clique. The Mike Elias draft pick clique. Possibly. Possibly. Tough to say. Jordan Adams does come in defensive replacement late. A little later than I would have thought, but if anything, I'd have had Adams pinch run for Kerstad when he hit the triple, but that's, Mansolino's idea. However, that's fine. Jordan Adams does not get in at bat. Yeah, I think it's pretty obvious he's going to be the first one to go when whichever outfielder gets back first between O'Neill and then Lariano, and then we'll have to have a difficult discussion. Yep. Dylan Carlson hitting in the 9-hole, but he's hitting in the 9-hole, so one base hit for himself. Hit streaks up to, I think, saw Rockabako, and they were talking about it on the broadcast. I think he's up to 6 games now, which is surprising for a guy that, especially with Colt Kaiser being back, isn't actually going to play that much. But however, Kerstad, here you go, triple, the extra base hit. Rutschman also with a home run. How about that? Cade Povich got the start in this game. Pretty good outing from Povich. Remember, he is still kind of a young guy here. Some say that he probably shouldn't be in the rotation or shouldn't be in the major leagues, but to a certain extent, based on what I saw from him last year, I just don't know that he gains much by being in minor leagues. If anything, a more consistent playing spot. More consistent playing opportunity. Whichever the right phrase is there. Because yes, there are a few things that he needs to work on, but to a certain extent there are a few things that, he's there with. I think one of them is maybe coming up with another pitch. And I think Ben McDonald mentioned it. Maybe it was Palmer. I think it was last start or maybe 2 starts ago, coming up with some kind of two-seamer. Because he really doesn't throw that many pitches, so it kind of hurts him there. But is able to work through it. He's a lefty. You know what they say about lefties in Major League Baseball. Got that kind of a funky-ish arm angle, very suited for a hook. Curveball. Getting it done. Only able to go 5 1/3 innings here, which isn't terrible. You have a pretty well-rested bullpen. Excuse me. Day off Monday, and then you only use 2 relievers Tuesday night. Does give up 4 hits and 2 runs and 1 walk, which is pretty damn good for a young guy who shouldn't be in the rotation. Right? Yeah. Also strikes out 5. Yeah. Imagine when this guy develops another pitcher too. Yeah. Yanier Cano in to finish off the 6th inning. Got in a bit of a jam a bit there, so he decided to use Cano early. Well, you got a few other guys, as in, let's say, Soto or Dominguez. So, bring Cano in now because there are runners on. Yeah, he only pitches 2/3 of an inning, finishing the 6th inning. No hits, no runs, no walks, 1 strikeout. Well, that seemed to work, at least for the time being anyway. Dominguez in for the 7th inning. No hits, no runs, no walks, 2 strikeouts. Soto in for the 8th inning. No hits, no runs, 3 strikeouts. There you go. That's why you use them more. Because now their tool set is sharper. Felix Bautista in for his 11th save of the year. Wow, and I think they've all been with Tony Mansolino instead of Brandon Hyde. No, it's not true, but it certainly feels like that. Pitching the full 9th inning, does give up a hit, does give up a walk, but no runs, and oddly enough, no strikeouts. Okay, that's Weird. Especially when it says groundouts versus flyouts. Oh, were they pop outs? I don't, because it just seems weird that you get 3 outs and then no strikeouts and only 1 flyout. Okay, so how did the other 2 get it? I feel like they were pop outs, weren't they? Okay, come on, load. Thank you. Yeah, they're classifying it as a pop out. Pop out to Julio Rodriguez. Whereas a Ryno single, Garver, walk, and then Taveras and Tellez. Tellez actually put a charge into one, but luckily there was room in the outfield. All right, let's get to game 3. Yesterday's game, Baltimore Orioles 4, Seattle Mariners 3. Wow. And yeah, you can see right here in the 6th inning, Orioles put up a big 3 spot. That's what got him the win. How about that? A little bit more fight in this team now, huh? You fire the manager, you get Colton Cowser back. Of course, wonder which one it really was, though. Jackson Holiday, over, but did walk once. Ugh. Adley Rutschman, 3 hits, 2 RBIs. Henderson, a hit, an RBI. O'Hearn, a hit. Carlson moved up to the 5 hole. Weird, but okay. Ofer. He's probably not going to do that again. Heston Kjerstad moved up to the 6 hole. Probably not going to do this again. Ofer. Colt Cowser coming in late. Didn't want to start Colt Cowser all 3 games because it's not that he's unhealthy. It's just minor league game, being in game shape for a minor league game, not the same as a major league game. It is a little different. And because you have other players on this team, it just doesn't make sense to throw him to the wolves or throw him right into the deep end this soon. But he does come and play an inning or so out in the outfield and then does get in the bat and, of course, strikes out. Manny Rivera getting a start at third base here, all the way down to 7th spot, gets 1 hit. Jorge Mateo getting a start in center field. Okay, I kind of want that to stop. I want there to be at least 2 outfielders out there. Okay, you got Jordan Adams. You got Jordan Adams, you got Dylan Carlson, you got Colt Cowser. Those are the only outfielders. Maybe center fielder, I guess, is really what I want to say. But yet, I don't see Mateo as a center fielder. He doesn't have the outfield experience to be considered a captain of the outfield yet. Not in my opinion. I think he should start in left field more. It's kind of how it happens, you know? First you learn how to be an outfielder, and you learn how to be the center fielder. But, however, the idea is crawl, walk, run, not just start running. But depending on the person, one works and the other doesn't work. Feel like I would have liked to see Jordan Adams get a start and, let's say, put Mateo in left field. But whatever. Mateo 0 for 3 strikeouts. Ugh. Jordan Adams comes in late, more of a defensive replacement, does get an at-bat, 0 for. Oh, wait, how did they get that run? Oh, that's right. Maverick Hanley getting the catching duties here. Adley Rutschman was serving as a DH. 0 for, but. What were the chain of events there? Because he walks and then some stupid shit happens with the defense for the Mariners. They ended up getting an error, but when the fuck was it? Well, was that the 3rd or was that the 6th? It was the 3rd. The lone run in the 3rd. He walks him to lead off the inning. You get a line out and a fly out, and you get You get a wild pitch. Hanley goes up to second. Oh, I'm sorry. Because they had this out of order here. Yeah, see, Hanley goes to second on a wild pitch, and then Rutschman flies out to deep center field. Deep enough because it's somewhat with a really big ballpark. It probably would have been a home run, but the wind really blowing in yesterday. Holds it up about the warning track-ish. That's enough room for Hanley to get to third. So he's on third, 2 outs. And of course, another wild pitch. I feel like I know it's early to start saying, oh, things have finally turned around, but because you want to. Kaiser gets back. You kind of feel like these guys are a little bit more upbeat now. One of the core guys comes back. That's not unheard of. And at the same time, things like this are happening for you instead of against you. Maybe not turning around, doing a complete 180, and things are going in favor. Maybe things are coming back into balance. Let's say that. Instead of everything going against you, now you're getting a few things to go for you and a few things to still go against you. Balance. Extra base hits. Rivera with a double. Rutschman and Henderson with home runs. Yeah, back-to-back home runs. Rutschman was with a man on, and then Henderson solo, because Adley had just brought them all in. Zach Eflin gets the start in this game. Technically, the worst start of an Oriole pitcher this series. And he still went 6 innings. Excuse me. 6 full innings, gives up 8 hits, 3 runs, no walks, 7 strikeouts. Yeah. Okay, you don't like the 8 hits, and you really don't like the 3 runs, but you know what? For 6 innings, while also not giving up any walks and striking out 7, you'll take that. You will take that. All right, bullpen a little bit overused, so shit. What do? We used Cano and we used Dominguez. Now we can't use them. Oh, Brandon Hyde would have loved this game. It's like, see, this is why you don't use them. Because then you don't have them when you need them. Okay, you got other dudes, all right? Sometimes those other dudes, they just got to get the outs. Otherwise, you just weren't meant to win, I guess. Keegan Aiken in for the 7th inning. Pitching the full 7th inning. No hits, no runs, no walks, 1 strikeout. Huh. Andrew Kittredge in for the 8th inning. Pitching the full 8th inning. No hits, no runs, no walks, 2 strikeouts. Apparently you got enough arms. Brian Baker in for a 2nd save. Yeah, it's not Cano because Cano just doesn't seem to like pitching in the 9th inning. I don't know. And I would say that it's not Kittredge because not 100% sure that Kittredge is 100%. Okay, is he good enough to be pitching? Yeah. But to a certain extent, he's kind of in the Felix Bautista kind of realm where he's not fully back. He's close, but he's not fully back. And to a certain extent, let me go find where they were in the order. If I remember correctly, they were at more of the heart of the order in the 8th inning. Yes. In the 8th inning, Andrew Kittredge faces Julio Rodriguez, Cal Raleigh, and Randy Arozarena. That's your Seattle's 3, 4, and 5 hole hitters. So then Baker comes in for Tellez, Taveras, Master Boney, which was 6, 7, 8. So which one do you put your better pitcher in? Meh. Little column A, little column B. It's not like Baker isn't performing that well in the first place, but it's how you do it sometimes. Baker pitching the full 9th inning for his 2nd save. Does give up a hit, but no runs, no walks, 2 strikeouts. To a certain extent, the bullpen depth has been fairly good for the past few years. Trading away shit, what was his name? Was it Julio Lopez? Julio, Jorge Lopez. Lopez from a few years ago getting Cano and Povich. Odd there because I really thought they shouldn't have been trading him, but you know what? They ended up getting Cano and they got Povich, and then Batista slotted in the closer role. Alright. I don't like that you didn't keep Coulomb, but whatever. Seem to do fine already, but seem to do fine anyway. Again, pitching depth in the bullpen seems to be there. Right? I don't want to use these guys. Then I don't have them. Okay, well, you have Dominguez, you have Soto, you have Cano, you have Batista, you have Baker. That's 5 strong guys, Brandon Hyde. That's who you had out there. That's who you had at your disposal. You're not going to be able to lock down the 6th, 7th, and 8th, and 9th with badass relief pitchers every single night. You're not going to be able to do it. You're just not. You're not going to be able to do it every night. You're not going to be able to do it for every win. You just weren't able to do it. And you know what? Yeah, it sucks you didn't have the services of Andrew Kittredge, and now Tony Mansolino does, and he's got 6 guys to go to. Still, you had 5, and you weren't even using them. However, and it's nice to see Heston Kjerstad have a decent game here. Alright, let's look at some of these roster moves. Colton Cowser, to get Colton Cowser on the roster, had to designate Cooper Hummel for assignment. Very short-lived. And in these 2 articles or roster moves brought to us by the Masson staff. This article here, let me scroll that up there so you can see that. Chadwick Trump elects to go to free agency instead of taking a AAA assignment with the Baltimore Orioles. To a certain extent, he's looking at that and he's saying, well, Cowser just came back. Westberg's about to come back. O'Neill's about to come back. Laureano's about to come back. Where am I going to go? He's not going to have the playing time in the major leagues. So he goes free agency to see if maybe he can get in with somebody else to play the major leagues. At least that's the thought there. Let's get to these articles here written by Rock Kabatko. I forgot which ones these were. This is Mountcastle. This is a Mountcastle article. I mean, I remember all the things. I just don't remember which article was specifically. This first one should be Mountcastle. The last one should be O'Neill. This one should be Westberg specifically. This one should be Westberg, catcher guy, Gary Sanchez, and Laureano. So, yeah, this is Mountcastle. Bad news about Mountcastle. Got the results back from the hamstring test. I think he said it was an MRI. It's not good news. It's a little bit more of a, at least the way this article here is written, it sounds more like it's a more severe hamstring injury and that Mountcastle will miss extended time, which somewhat disappointing, but you know, Ryno Hearn's here and Kobe Mayo's here, Emmanuel Rivera here. Between Rivera and Kobe Mayo, who's going to go away when Westberg's ready to go? Well, shit. Yeah, right? This article here talking about Sanchez, Laureano, who was the other one? Westberg. Actually hitting together in the same lineup for AAA Norfolk. So, they're in there. They're in there getting their work in. So, no setbacks to be reported of. So, I'm going to say Sanchez, Laureano, Westberg, without any setbacks. Rehab assignments don't last that long. It's got to be within a week they're coming back to the major leagues. So, hard decision time coming up real soon. This article talking about Westburg and yesterday's game. I'm assuming they played yesterday in AAA Norfolk. Is that he was going to play there in that game yesterday, and then the Orioles were going to decide if they were going to activate Westburg or not, because Westburg's even closer than Lariano and Sanchez. So I haven't seen anything yet. Actually, let me go to this page here and refresh just to see if something has come up since. Oh, well, there you go. Oh, well, okay. Look, this article has made it seem like Westburg was a lot ahead, was ahead of Lariano. But let me get through this. They acquire Scott Blewett again? What the? Okay. Holy shit. This organization, man, I don't know. All right, well, let's get to this. Ramon Lariano reinstated. Okay. All right, yeah, didn't think he was going to be ahead of Westburg, but again, Westburg's hamstring injury was a little bit on the severe side. Outfielder Jordan Adams designated for assignment. Does it mention? It doesn't. It doesn't mention Westburg at all, which is. Excuse me. Yeah, don't see anything about Westburg. Bringing back Scott Blewett. Wow. They got Blewett. Where did they get Blewett from? Blewett got DFA'd earlier in the season, and the Orioles swooped in and got him, and then something with. Who the hell were they sending up and sending down? They were having starter troubles back then. Because, the Gibson, the Morton experiment, Brandon Young getting some spots because Morton just wasn't getting it done. And Zach Eflin was injured. They ended up having to DFA him, and now they're able to. It says cash considerations. Reacquire Scott Blewett from the Braves for cash considerations. Going through all of Masson's staff. This article, courtesy of the Masson staff, doesn't say what roster move to get Blewett here. Is he going to AAA? Is somebody going down? Don't know. Oh, I almost forgot to mention, because I've mentioned it, let's say when Soto didn't pitch an entire series, Matt Bowman is in the bullpen. Only member of the bullpen that did not see any action this series. Well, 2 innings the first game, what? Almost 4 innings the second game, 3 innings. Yeah, that's what, about averaging about 3 innings a game, 9 innings for 8 guys out there in the bullpen. Can be tough to find some guys some innings. Not the case when they got to cover 4 innings every night. And to a certain extent, if you ranked the 8 guys out there from top to bottom, front of the bullpen to the back end of the bullpen, Bowman's going to be up front. Sorry, not trying to offend you, but Felix Bautista is in a better standing, and let's say better. Brian Baker's better, Cano's better, Dominguez better, Soto's better. So you get that it was Bowman that didn't get, yeah, you do want him to get in there and get some innings, but in a perfect world, and this was almost a perfect storm here for the Orioles, if there's one guy that doesn't pitch out of your bullpen in this series, it's the worst one. Not your best one, right? And we'll see how Scott Blewett fits in here. They may have to. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, if. I mean, I feel like he's going to have to be on the roster. Wellness? Yeah, I don't. All right, I'm going too far into this. I don't exactly know the extent of this. Is it because the Braves DFA'd him, or did? Well, no. Even if the Orioles traded for him, they would have to, because it's the Orioles trading for him. They would have to send him down. We'll see how that goes. More information, as it comes. But blew it back in the organization. This article here talking about Tyler O'Neill. Tyler O'Neill did travel with the team for the first part of this Seattle Mariners series, but has since left to go start his rehab assignment. So Tyler O'Neill starting his rehab assignment very soon. Cool. All right. Let's get to the schedule, wrap this shit up, and get out of here. Holy shit, that's a lot of green dots in a row. Whew. Never thought I'd see that. Well, at least not. Because you look at all them red dots in there. Right? Look at all those red dots and all those. Holy shit, you see in 3. And then there's 3 right there. And then there's, wow, that's shocking. Oh, and I figured out where the Athletics play. They're playing in Sacramento. Yeah. Minor league ballpark, which be somewhat interesting. Though the Blue Jays did that the COVID year because Canada, US, the customs thing played, I want to say it was Buffalo, right? A minor league ballpark in Buffalo. So it's been done before. So yes, Orioles they're probably there in Sacramento already, getting ready to play the Athletics. We're on the West Coast, so start times are late. Today, Friday's game scheduled for 10:05 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for us. Saturday's game scheduled 10:05 p.m. Sunday's game scheduled 4:05 p.m. And coming back, and Monday off day because they're coming all the way back east to start a home stand against the Detroit Tigers. That is going to do it for this edition of Ryno's Orioles Report. Please stay tuned for Monday, and I will discuss the series between the Baltimore Orioles and the Athletics. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel. I am the Angry Ryno, and this is Birdland.